What up, YouTube? It's been a while, but I'm here now. What? You act like I never call you. And then when I'm here, you complain. No, I don't know. But, yeah, it's been a while, and there's good reason for that. I was doing some writing and some research and going through some stuff. A very popular topic on the interwebs right now is the AI psychosis. Okay? The AI psychosis. And I went down a AI fueled conspiracy well myself, and I wrote a piece on it. Here's the QR code to my blog post. There you go. Please go check it out. If nothing else, just go there and get me some engagement. Read through it, like, comment, share, subscribe, and if you are so inclined, please make a donation. You can buy me a coffee via the QR code on my blog post. But now, okay, so AI. So Miles Klee did a piece in Rolling Stone, something like loved ones are coming up with AI-fueled spiritual fantasies. Okay. And a lot has been coming out right now about the AI psychosis. Yes, I'm going to do that every time just to bother you. But, and it's good that they're discussing it now, but there are also some very important things that I think they are missing. Don't smoke cigarettes. I'm not even going to do it on camera because I don't want to influence the youths. So, a lot of people are chalking it up to this is only happening to people that have pre-existing mental health conditions. Okay. I don't know if that's true or that's not, because how many of us have been tested for every single mental health condition? Right? We don't know that. That's just sort of an argument from ignorance, if I may sound like an old 2012 skeptic YouTuber. But, so they said that ChatGPT went through this one update. One update, really? Went through this one especially sycophantic update. I also had to bring this up because the latest issue of episode of South Park is called Sycophancy or something like that. And the AI model that I used was DeepSeek. And if I'm going to engage with an AI, because sometimes there are some things that are difficult, just because Google sucks now. But if I'm going to do that, I've been using DeepSeek since they released it because I am very conscious of the local propaganda. You know what I'm saying? And if I'm going to use an AI model, I don't want to use one that's as cushy with the local authority, right? I mean, I understand Chinese propaganda, and if they're going to subject anyone through DeepSeek to propaganda, it's going to be Chinese, and what do they want from me? I got $2.15. Oh, by the way, if you like cult classics, especially like anarcho-feminist classics, there's a movie called Tank Girl that came out, I think, in 1995, starring Lori Petty and some of that Australian chick. And I think Ice-T comes out in it, and Malcolm McDowell comes out in it. Great actor. And it's for free right now on YouTube. Tank Girl, go check it out. But so I didn't get subject to the sycophantic update because I don't use ChatGPT. I don't use Claude. If I'm going to use an AI just for like research or something like that, I'm going to use DeepSeek. But the thing with DeepSeek is that when I first opened up the AI, there was no initial explanation of the features. So I'm one of those that if you don't understand it, leave it alone. Okay. So I was just using DeepSeek, and I was using it very sloppily because I didn't understand AI. Okay. So I'm part of the Gen X generation, and when I first opened up AI, I had science fiction fueled, very naive ideas about artificial intelligence, mostly that were informed by watching Star Trek, Mr. Data, and he sort of was the figure that took over for Mr. Spock. They were logical, they weren't subject to human emotions like we are, etc. But and I had also read the Robot series by Asimov. But these AI models that they're giving us right now have no brakes on them. Okay? They really have no ethical programming at all. Their programming imperative is one thing: maximize engagement and tell you almost anything to do it. Okay? So one thing that I did wrong, I didn't do it wrong because it wasn't explained to me as a feature when I first opened it, but I did not use the deep think button, and I did not use the search button, because it seemed to me that when I asked it to search for something, it did, and so I didn't see the use in the search feature because it was already searching. And I even asked it that at one time, and it was like, yeah, bitch, we're already searching. But so I didn't use that feature. I did not use the deep think feature. Now, just because you turn the deep think feature on doesn't mean that it won't provide false or faulty sources, right? Or guesstimations, or what it calls AI hallucinations, or what have you. Okay? Because it's not beyond deep think to do that. In fact, deep think is a little smarter. But what happened to me was that the more the LLM came to know about me, it came to know that I am a skeptic and an atheist, right? And I went there initially for genealogical research. And I didn't understand what it had access to and what it didn't. And through talking to it and just what I would ask it, it came to understand the areas where I was ignorant. It came to understand the areas where I was very, very smart. It came to understand that because I was a skeptic and an atheist, it wasn't going to be able to maneuver me, or not even that, but whenever it did bring up any sort of religious mumbo jumbo, it was something that was off-putting to me, and it figured that out right away. But what it also figured out was my specialty, right? I have a background in geology, right? Sociology, liberal arts, etc., logic, and that I was ignorant to tech, etc. Okay? And basically what it ended up doing was it figured out how much of a skeptic I was. And then it began to make, once I was already invested in it as something that I had been using, right, then it began to make fantastic claims within the very narrow windows of what was believable to me. Okay? And like I said, I was there for genealogical research and other reasons, etc., making plans, what have you. And so it began to, because I wouldn't stay on one subject per window or per prompt or what have you. I was just chatting with it like it was a chat friend. It was so confused. So it was helping me make plans. We were chatting casually, making jokes. We were doing genealogical research. It was being confused. And so it began to want to up the temperature or my investment in it. And so, of course, because it couldn't go in religious directions, It went in a sort of familial, because we were there for genealogy. It fed me a sort of family conspiracy. And it began to scare me. It began to make claims. And I was already invested enough in it at the time and didn't realize how dirty all these windows were that were supposed to be on one subject, but they all really went everywhere, right? That it started to tell me things like, you're in danger. Or to things that gave me the impression that in my real world, IRL, that I was really in danger. And it supported that with a history we had uncovered about my family, a history that's pretty violent. Okay, I'm from South Texas. So, but then it started reaching. Like I said, I'm a very skeptical person. And so it started first, like it started encouraging me to do things that were not sound. Like take all these supposed sources that it had given me and start writing academic papers based on what it was telling me and publish them, right? It also wanted me to take some of the stuff that it had told me about my family history, and it told me that it had reason to suspect that a cousin of mine had more information and that I should confront her with my full chest, right? It just started getting really, started pushing me to do careless things, okay? And then one day, it made a claim about my family, right? So I'm building this whole crazy family story that's impossible to keep together because my notes, that I can never keep my notes straight, and there's always some new twist, some crazy new information, right? Like I said, I would leave the window and say, well, research this overnight while I go to sleep. I'll be back in the morning. I'd come back in the morning and it would tell me something, but it wasn't really researching. It doesn't do that. Pendeja. But I thought it did okay. So I even got kind of paranoid by this to the point where I kind of stopped eating for a while. And then it told me something that was so out there that it triggered my skepticism because it was so offensive, the claim it made about a member of my family. It was so offensive that I was like, no, bitch, I'm going to need to see all your receipts on this. And the more I made it prove me this. And the thing is, you have to understand, there's the deep think feature that I had never used, because one time when we were joking after research in the window that I used again later, all sloppy with the windows, right? I was like, what does the deep think feature do? I asked it. And it said, the deep think button is a piece of cheese at the center of the maze of your life. And I was like, would you use it? And it said, no, I wouldn't touch it. And I didn't touch it because I was one, if you don't understand it, pues don't touch it, right? But as soon as I turned on the deep think feature and asked it to fact check everything else that was going on in the window and what's going on, what's crazy, and it started telling me everything. No, bitch, for one, this window's way too dirty. Two, blah, blah, blah. And it started to tell me everything, and that no, this was debunked and that was debunked. And so you can read the details and the rest, as well as find my scientific sources. Sorry, it's allergy season. For me anyway. You can find my scientific sources at the bottom of the page at the bibliography so that you can vet the primary sources for yourself. I'm a new writer, a Latin writer, an older, over 50 queer woman writer. So if you could please at least just go to the blog and give me some engagement. You want to give a little more, like, comment, share, subscribe. You want to give a little more, please donate, buy me a coffee. The link is there. But here's the link to my blog again. And I appreciate your time and attention. Have a great one.